So students, welcome to the numerical part of the subject of the matter which I have taught you till now. So there will be a few lectures on on numericals based on the topics covered till now. So we'll start from easy one, and then the complexity will increase. But remember the basic concepts throughout the numericals, and these concepts will not change. Uh, Questions may twist from one end to another end, but still use the basic concepts and the ideology taught till now. First, starting from the first numerical, very simple one. Just look at that. What the numerical says: a reactor wall of 320 millimeter thickness and is made up of inner layer of fire brick. Fire brick thermal conductivity is given to be 0.84, and after the fire brick an insulation layer is being added whose thermal conductivity is of 0.16. Now it is given that the reactor operates at a temperature of 1325 degrees centigrade, and while the ambient temperature is of 25 degrees centigrade. So the reactor temperature is 1325 written over here, and the ambient temperature or the outer temperature is 25 degrees centigrade. Now we have to determine the thickness of fire brick which gives minimum heat loss. So the fire brick thickness is to be determined, that is in this case the thickness of LB. LB is the thickness of the fire brick which is to be determined, assuming that, and also the second part is to calculate the heat loss assuming that insulating material has a maximum temperature limit of 1200 degrees centigrade. That means the temperature limit is of 1200 degrees centigrade. So this was a numerical. So I think now the picture is clear to you. Previously the picture was not clear enough. So again I am repeating the same numerical. It is a nuclear reactor wall is which is 320 millimeter. So this is a nuclear reactor wall which is 320 millimeter in thickness. That means the length, the LA value is 320 millimeter, and then after that an insulation is being done whose thermal conductivity of 0.16. The reactor temperature or the wall which is exposed to the reactor is having a maximum temperature of 1325 degrees centigrade, and the insulation or outer temperature is 25 degrees centigrade. We have to determine the thickness of fire brick. That means the value of this one. Fire brick wall thickness is to be determined, which gives the minimum heat loss. Now what does this minimum heat loss is, I will going to explain you right now. The second part is we have to calculate the heat loss assuming that insulating material has a maximum temperature of 1200 degrees centigrade. So what does this mean? Where will the maximum temperature will occur? It will occur at the junction, or where the junction means at the fire brick wall and at the insulation point. The junction, therefore here is the junction. It will be the maximum, it will be the zone of maximum temperature, and it is given to be 1200 degree centigrade. So now the students, I think numerical must be clear to you. It is a corresponding diagram. In this numerical, one thing more I have to say, that the total thickness is given to be 320 millimeter. Okay, 320 millimeter is the total thickness of the wall. So therefore the value of fire brick wall plus insulation wall will be equal to 320 millimeter, and we have to determine the thickness of both fire brick and the insulation one with the given data that maximum temperature at the junction can be 1200, and inner fire brick wall maximum temperature can be 1325, that is 1325 degrees centigrade, and ambient is the 25 degrees centigrade, 25 degrees centigrade. Now moving towards the solution part. So these are the given data. Now you must be knowing these are the conventions they have used, that the inner temperature is always taken to be 1, or you can take anyone. It is not a convention or hard and fast rule that inner is always 1. You can denote any by using any nomenclature. Now the thickness LA plus LB is equal to 320 millimeter. Change to standard units. Now the next is the thermal conductivities of the both the material, that is of fire brick wall and of the insulator is given. Now the first thing you must know that heat flux or the heat flux will be same. What does this mean? This means that heat flux will be same for the wall A or the wall B, or from point 1 from T1 to T3. The heat flux or the heat transfer will be same throughout. Remember this thing. So the value of Q by A will be same. Therefore, I can say, moving again to the next slide. So under steady state condition, the heat flux will be constant. So this means that if I write the heat transfer for the whole system, so for the whole system here means, just going again back. So for the whole system here means that from T1 to T3. So this will correspond to Q equals to T1 minus T3 LA over Ka plus LB over Kb. Now what is this LA over Ka? This is the thermal resistance offered by the wall A, and LB over Kb is the thermal resistance offered by wall B. These are the things of equations which you have studied while deriving the resistance offered due to thermal resistance. You know that equation comes out to be L over Ka. Since area is constant, I have taken the heat flux, so Q by A. So it is a standard convention that if I am using a small letter, then it represents a rate. Sorry, I have said rate. It is a area. So Q by A is equal to small q. Now this heat flux, that is this one which I have taken for the whole system, since what I have said just now, that heat flux will be constant whether it is taken from T1 to T3 or from T1 to the junction and junction to the outside, it will be same. The same heat flux will transfer. So writing the heat flux equation for the surface A, so it will be T1 minus T2 over the thermal resistance offered by surface A. Just going one page back again. Now you can see that the thermal resistance for A will be LA over Ka, and the temperature difference is T1 minus T2, where the value of T1 is given and T2 is also given. Similarly, the value of for the resistance for the surface B will be this one, T2 minus T3 over thermal resistance offered by the surface B. So students, just listen that this is the conduction resistance. As you must be now aware that LA over Ka was the thermal resistance. Since we are determining the heat flux, therefore we have taken out the area. Now these all the equations are same. Why? Because heat flux is same. Now to determine the thickness of the firewall and brick and the insulator, equating the equation, first equation with the second, and then first with the third respectively. So equating first with the second one. So after equating this thing, if we carried out the simple mathematical calculation which gives the thickness of the fire brick wall, that comes out to be 114.6 millimeter. And since length of the walls are fixed, that means the thickness fire brick wall and the insulator wall is fixed and is given to be 320 millimeter. Therefore the value of surface B can be determined by this. Okay, now if you can proceed in either way also. So what does this means? That means now I have equated this and this equation, but you can equate this and this also. So it is not an hard and fast rule that you equate only these two equations. You can equate this and this also, that is first and the third equation, but you cannot equate at with the given numerical data, you cannot equate this and this equation. Why? Because the value of LA and LB both are unknown. Either if you want to determine it, then an equation will be formed which will represent LA as a function of LB. Then as you know that LA plus LB is given to be 320 millimeter, then by using these two equations you can get the value of LA and LB. So you can solve in either of the ways. The last way is a somewhat a lengthy method, so you can prefer the first method or the second method. That means either equating this or this, or equating this or this one. Both will give you the same result. So this was the first part. Just see what was the first part. The first part was to determine the thickness of the brick, which we have calculated. The next is to calculate the heat loss. Okay, to calculate the heat loss, assuming that insulating material has a maximum temperature of this much. So for calculating the heat loss, again all the equations are the same. Therefore you can use again any of the three one. So using this one, T1 minus T2, so this will give you the desired answer. So this is the heat loss per unit area or the heat flux. As you can see, it is written watt per meter square. So hopefully this numerical might be clear to you, as it was one of the simplest numerical. Moving towards the next numerical, this is the next numerical. I am enlarging it so that you can visualize what it is written. So it is written here that the surface of a plane wall of thickness L are maintained at the thermal conductivity maintained at a temperature of T1 and T2. So a wall is there whose thickness is L is given, and there the surfaces of this wall is maintained at a temperature of T1 and T2. The thermal conductivity of the wall varies according to the relation K is equal to K naught T square. So students, now you can see that this is the case of variable thermal conductivity with regards to the question first, where thermal conductivity was treated to be constant. So what we have to derive an expression to find the steady state conduction through wall and the temperature at which thermal conductivity be evaluated in order to get the same heat flow by its substitution in the simplified Fourier equation. So I will look at question number part 2 after solving part 1. First of all, focusing on part first. What is that? Derive an expression to find the steady state conduction through the wall. Now students, you cannot directly put this value of K in the equation derived previously for variable thermal conductivity in a in the case of large plane wall. Why? Because in that case I have assumed to be linear. How? Because if you just go back to the pages where I have showed this equation, it was written K is equal to K naught 1 plus beta t. So it was a linear. Now here that it is a function of moreover time, and that too in the polynomial form, that is t square. So you cannot directly put the value there and solve it. You have to start by fundamental equation, then you can obtain the correct form. So what is that fundamental equation? That correct fundamental equation is your Fourier equation. So moving to, so writing down the first Fourier equation. So here it is. The first of all, look at the diagram. It is a plane wall of thickness L. T1 and T2 are the surface temperature, and it is given that thermal conductivity varies with temperature K is equal to K naught T square. Now putting this value of variation in thermal conductivity in Fourier's equation. So Fourier's equation is K is equal to minus K dt over dx into area. So you must be now knowing that this is your fundamental equation, one of the fundamental equation in heat transfer. Now moving towards after substitution and rearrangement of terms, since K naught is constant, area is constant, so it can be taken out from the integral, integrating it from the limits. So now what will be the limits? So for the x, the limit will be from 0 to L, because the length thickness varies from 0 to L, whereas the temperature varies from T1 to T2. Therefore these are the limits. After solving or integrating, we get the required expression. So this was a simple basic integration equation, not a rocket science. So this expression we have determined. So this is the required expression for heat transfer. Now students, going back again and looking now what the second part says. Now it is written here, find the temperature. Now please understand, since it is a little bit twisted here. Find the temperature at which mean thermal conductivity be evaluated in order to get same heat flow by its substitution in the simplified Fourier equation. So it is written here that if I want to get the same heat transfer, which heat transfer as derived in first part, by substituting the mean thermal conductivity, by substitution of the mean thermal conductivity, then what should be the temperature? So I think you have understood what the problem is. So what they have said, that if I put the same heat transfer, if I want to get the same heat transfer from this wall, then what should be the mean thermal conductivity? With the mean thermal conductivity, then what should be the mean temperature? Sorry, I said mean thermal conductivity. It is the what should be the value of temperature. So substituting these things, first of all, equating K is equal to, this is the equation which I have obtained from here, and since they have said we have to use a simplified Fourier equation, then simplified Fourier equation is Ka dt by dx, and with the mean thermal conductivity. So this is the required expression. putting the value of k, which is k naught T mean square, and after solving a little bit mathematics involved, we get the required temperature. So it is just getting the temperature profile within the wall. So hopefully you have understood this equation. So what they have actually done, they have twisted the question. Instead of asking you the temperature profile within the uh, surface, they have asked you in a twisted manner. So this is the case. Now moving towards the next numerical. So this is the third numerical, and now here various concepts will be used. As you can see the problem uh, with its diagram. So here the problem is to find the heat flow rate through the composite wall as shown in the diagram, and moreover the problem is simplified using only the one dimensional flow as shown in the diagram. The thermal conductivities and the dimensions are given. Thermal conductivities of A, B, C, D, that means A, B, C and D are given. This one, this and this, and the dimensions are also given, that is their thickness. Length of A is given 3 centimeter, of B and C is given to be 8 centimeter, and for D it is 5 centimeter. Now as I said earlier that heat transfer is always perpendicular or normal to the area, therefore this is the heat transfer, and therefore area considered will be for A it will be 10 into 10 centimeter square. Now you can see that the thickness, the area of C, while B will be 8 into 10 into 3. So this will be, I am looking when we are going to calculate area, then it will be come in the picture. Now we have to determine the heat flow from the system. Temperature, now from the diagram you can see that temperature is not given at any point inside the composite system, only the temperature at both the ends are provided, and that are 400 degree centigrade and 60 degree centigrade respectively. So coming to the solution part, so this is the data provided to you that length of A is 3 centimeter, B and C are common, that is they are having the same thickness of 8 centimeter, and LD, that is the thickness of D, is 5 centimeter, all converted into standard dimension. Now you can see the area. What I have said you is the same, uh, is now I have shown here. Area of A will be, that means what will be the area of this, what will be the area of A? Area of A will be as you just going one slide back, what will be the area of A which is going to be considered, since I have said that a area should be taken perpendicular. So here area will be for the surface A will be 10 into what is its height, 7 plus 3, 10. So therefore area will be 10 cross 10. Similarly the area of D will be also same, that will be 10 cross 10. Now coming to the area of B and C. So what will be the area of B and C? So the area of B will be 10 into 3. This will be your height. And for C it will be 10 but now the height is 7. So now you can have understood that how I am taking the area. Coming back to the solution part again. So now you can see area of B will be 10 into 3. It is converted into standard dimension. Then area of D will be 10 into 10. Similarly, the area of A will be 10 into 10, while that of C will be 10 into 7 centimeter square. So they all are converted into standard dimension. Now uh, just look at the picture. So this is the two-dimensional drawing of the figure shown previously. It is now you can see that heat transfer Q is normal to the surface considered. This is now coming to the main point, that the circuit diagram, how it is drawn. Now you can see, and it will give you a glimpse how the circuit diagrams are drawn. Just look at that. T1 is the point, and that point here is this one, that is 400 degrees centigrade. This is your T1 point. Now from here the heat transfer starts. The first thermal resistance offered to heat is the surface resistance of A, that is RTH, denoted by RTH A. Then there are two walls B and C. Therefore it is written in essence. Now the heat is in parallel. Therefore I have shown a parallel circuit B and C, then again in series. So now at the end, temperature of 4 is 60 degree centigrade, that is at this point it is given 60 degree centigrade. In between, between the junctions no temperature is provided. I think that it is not required to evaluate the heat transfer. Let's see. So first of all, determining the thermal resistances of each surface, that is for A, B, C and D. So RTH for A will be LA over KA into area. Now you can see that since areas are different, that is area of A will be different than B and C, therefore area of each is being determined or is taken considered. Therefore it is here heat flux is not written. Then thermal resistance of B will be, as you can see, length of B KB into area of surface B. In the same fashion C and D are also determined. So this is the equation. C and D thermal resistances are also determined. Then a equivalent thermal resistance is determined. Students, this is one of the many methods which you can use, else you can directly put these values in the equation. What does this mean? This means that you can use directly this equation, Q is equal to as written here, and substitute values directly. Now look at the thing which they have done. They have taken, since B and C are parallel, so they have used the parallel equation like you are using in your electrical circuits, and determined the equivalent of the parallel circuit thermal system. So 0.147 is the thermal resistance, equivalent thermal resistance of the combined surface B and C. So what I mean is 0, the value of this is combined value is I'm just representing the diagram. So this is A and this is B and this is this one. As you are converting these resistance like in electrical circuit, so is the analogous to thermal circuits, and its value is determined to be 0.147. So it is written here also that equivalent resistance is 0.17. Now the total thermal resistance offered will be, it will be the sum of A, D and equivalent thermal resistance of B and C, that comes out to be 0.267, and hence the total heat transfer will be Q delta T over thermal resistance, which comes out to be this one. So hopefully you have got the concept of how the thermal resistance concept is used here. You can just view once again that just like your electrical circuit, and that analogous is the thermal circuits, where you are converting the parallel system into in a series parallel system, converting parallel into series, so that you can join the whole whole electrical resistance. Here it is the thermal resistance, where the same thing is here, that B and C, that means this resistance and this resistance which are in parallel are combined in series to form a series, to form the equivalent resistance, and this equivalent resistance is in series with A and D. Therefore after converting, the all are in series, and hence equivalent resistance is determined for the circuit. So this is the value. You can directly put all these values into the equation rather than calculating in step by step. So this will you become habitual, will become habitual as you start practicing the numerical part. So this was the case of third numerical. So now